Hey guys, I'm just doing a bit of a different video today. I've had quite a few people asking me about desoldering techniques and what do I use and how to do it, and can you do a little video on just the basics of it. So I just wanted to start this one. There'll be a couple of videos. This one I wanted to talk about using braid, which is this stuff here. It's basically just a mesh of copper metal that allows the solder to flow onto it. So basically you suck the solder up onto the wick, and then that obviously removes it from the board. So yeah guys, so that's what I was hoping to do. I've got a board here. This is a single layer board, which for braid is absolutely fine. There's no problems there at all. So basically the braid I use is solder wick. These little bobbins is what you get it on. This is the actual case that they come in. I use the blue sticker ones, which is a specific size. There's 10 bobbins inside one of these guys, so if you buy one, they're about, I think, $20 or $30 Australian, somewhere around there. They're not too bad, but there's 10 bobbins inside, so this will last you probably a year to maybe a year and a half. I mean, if you're doing one bobbin a month, it'll keep you going for almost a year. So you have to be using a fair bit of it. They're factory sealed and airtight, so they don't go off. So don't worry about having one of these on yourself for a while, because the bobbins will be fine, and the resealable lid, so you can keep all your bobbins so the copper doesn't oxidize. Now they also have flux built into the wick as well. I've used many solder wicks, and this is probably the best one to use. So it's just the solder wick brand in the yellow containers. If anybody has any problems finding it, let me know, and I'll put some links to a couple of eBay items. But yeah, that's the stuff, that's the tin it comes into. So just look for that. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a video on this. Now I'm using a different camera today, guys. Whoops, that's the wrong way. So I want to zoom in to what I'm doing, so you can have a closer look. Now you got 2 points here. These are both for a capacitor. So what you do is grab your soldering iron, have it on a fairly high temperature, not too high, but depends on what your wattage is of your soldering iron to how actual what temperature setting you set it at. That comes with basically with just experience and using solder wick, etc, etc. You find a temperature that works best. Sometimes you have to crank it up to max because there's a lot of solder to suck off, or you're working with a big ground plane, etc. For a single-sided PCB, which is these guys here, wick is fine. It'll work really well. Now some people hold the little tip of the actual solder wick onto the actual joint that you're trying to desolder and do it that way, and as you can see, the solder is being sucked up through the wick. That works fine. I like to, obviously once you've done a little piece, just cut it off, chuck it in the bin, pull out a little bit more, and then you can keep going. I like to do it a little bit differently, like in the middle, so that the solder actually gets sucked up onto both sides of the wick. That's the way I like to do it, so I like to do it in between there. So that's a little bit different. Now I'll just do a little bit on this side. There we go. Now, if I zoom into that, you should, actually probably don't even have to zoom in. If you have a look, you can see that around the leg, just in here, you can see that there's no solder there anymore. The wick's wicked it up, so it's done a nice job. So I'll just do the other side, so just cut off a little bit that you used and do the other terminal. There we go. Sucked it all up. Cut off a little bit. Now it's just got a little bit left, so I'll just move the board around a little bit and suck where it is on the opposite side. Just go in there, soldering iron on it, heat up solder, and then it'll go up in the flux. In the braid, sorry, with the flux. The flux helps you to actually desolder. I've used lots of desoldering braid in my career as an electronics engineer, but this stuff really is the best. You can get different widths of the actual braid, but this is the one I use is obviously the Blue Label one, but you can get thicker, and there are different types. So that's something to know. Now that's all desoldered. So if I pop over here, let me zoom out for a bit. Now is that going to focus? Yep. So this cap should just pop out, give it a wiggle. Come on. Come on. Don't tell me they've glued these in. No, okay. She doesn't want to come out. Okay, I'll just a little bit of, yeah, that's it. We just had a little bit of solder, just holding it in. So there you go, guys. Mr. Cap's removed. So that's all good. So yeah, so that's a single-sided board, and that works very, 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 very well. So yeah, so that's that guy. Now I'll move on to a 2-layer board, which is a lot trickier. Now let's see if I can zoom this out a little bit. Now, I don't really recommend braid for a 2-sided board. I think a solder sucker does a lot more better job and generally works a lot easier. But if solder wick's all you've got, then you know you can do it. But yeah, I prefer to do these with a solder sucker or a desoldering pump. Obviously the gun's the ultimate way to do it, but I wanted to just show you the limitations of braid as well. So this may not go very well. The biggest problem is because it's 2-layered, you've got the ground planes on both sides. Sorry, not ground planes, you've got copper layers on both sides, and you have to suck solder out of both sides. So it can be a little bit dangerous. It's very easy to damage the wires or the pads. So yeah, so it's just a little bit trickier. So I'd use a desoldering gun or a desoldering pump. So I'm just going to try and take out one of these caps and just see what happens. So I've got them in there. Now let's have a look and see if this is going to work. Now that's sucking it away. Now the other side. Now you probably find, yeah, it didn't suck up hardly anything. So that's probably not going to go anywhere. No. Okay, what I do try sometimes, if you add a little bit of solder onto one of the terminals, whoops, I've got this all out of whack now, haven't I? Alright, there we are. So what I'll do is I'll just add just a little bit of solder so that when the wick pushes up against it, hopefully it'll flow better into the wick. Just leave a little bit there. Now I'll grab the wick. Oh, there we go. An empty bobbin. So I'll have to grab a new one. So I'll just use the braid that I've got left here. So suck that up. Okay, so this is where you get issues. Oh, come on, camera. This is where you get issues because it is a 2-layer board. As you can see, I can't. This cap that we desoldered. Yeah, I'm on the right one. This guy right here, he's not. No, see, he's not coming at all. So yeah, so there's a limitation of braid basically. For single-sided boards, it's fine, but for double-sided stuff, I really don't recommend it, because you can't, you can't get under the cap to suck the solder out from there. Like you can probably see, we got a lot of it. Got a lot of it sucked out. Not sure how well that's going to focus, and I think that's not going to focus at all. No. Yeah, no, that looks like that's going to be it. So yeah, you can see that we did actually remove some of the solder from the actual points, but yeah, it's not coming out anytime soon. So yeah, so we can wiggle that as much as we want, but it's definitely not going to come out. So there you go, guys. Just another quick video. For single-sided boards, braid's great, but for 2-layer or anything more than 2-layer, is definitely not the weapon of choice. I'd go with a desoldering pump, or a desoldering gun as well, obviously being the best tool to use for desoldering. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching.